Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about Java generics. So we are just going to discuss some basic stuff in this video today, and then in future videos I'm going to go a little bit more into details of this stuff actually. So let's see what are the Java generics and why do we need them actually. So they were introduced like in Java 5, or you can say just JDK 1.5. They were introduced in that one. And what these really help us with, so they help us with the type safety, and instead of the raw data types we can specify more concrete or specialized data types into the objects. Maybe we can make objects more specific instead of keeping them like very generic actually. And another big thing for the Java, this generics is about the code reusability. Just with the help of generics, you can write a generic code and you can reuse for different purposes. So what I'm going to do is, so instead of just talking more, we're going to do an example, and hopefully that will help you understand it better. So this is the standard. I have this class, and the standard is main method here. So what I want to really do is I just I'm going to put some kind of some class here. So I had this pre-written class here. So what this class does is, you see the name is print integer. So this is a simple class. It has one variable here. This is a constructor, takes integer, and we have this print statement, and whatever you pass it to, it will just print that actually. So this class prints integers. So let's say how do we use it actually. So, and then I will get to generics, how we can make it this better with the help of generics. So let's say this is called print integer, and print integer is equal to, you can just say print integer. We're just going to create a new class and just say I want to call 20, and we know that 20 is an integer. So, and I'm going to just say print integer dot print method, and we know that this would just print 20 here actually. So let's run it. You can see printed 20 here. Now I'm going to create another class here quickly to print floats. Here goes. So I'm going to just change it to float. Now instead of integer, now this is going to be float too, and this is going to be float as well. So you see these both classes are same, but the first one just deals with integers. There is a second one which deals with the float. And I'm going to create a instance of this class. Let's see, and then after that we can print float. So equal to new print float, and I'm going to pass a float value here. So you know that float is like something with the decimal place and even 3.4 is not float. Actually, you have to just be more specific. If you remember from my previous tutorials, if you want to make a float, you have to just write this f at the end actually. So and I'm going to reprint again. Let me clean it here and run it. Okay, so we print the integers, we print the float. Now you might be thinking, about, if you have to print double, if you have to print a character, if you have to print a string, I have to keep repeating this code actually. This code, all this code needs to be, repeated for each one of those actually. And I may have 7-8 different kind of data types, not 7-8, but it could be just more, so any kind of data types. So that's where the generics come into picture actually. So what I'm going to do is now, okay, so I'm going to create, so I'm going to, let's say, just for the purpose of time saving, I'm just going to copy this here. I put it here, and let me comment out with both of these classes here because I don't need them, and I just print it here. So I want to call it instead of print integer, I'm going to call it generic print. Okay, and I will explain it in a minute what I'm trying to do here. So in the Java generics, what you can do is into this class you can pass a type. So the syntax is like this: you do with this diamond operator next to the class and say t here, or you can call it anything t, but this is the convention used in Java, uppercase T. I mean, ideally you could call it whatever you want to call it, it doesn't have to be just T. So whatever character you use, uppercase, so it's easy for everybody so understand, because this is the way it has been used in Java actually. So what I did is I'm just trying to make this class generic. I mean, generic in the sense that this class can deal with the data of different types, not a different types, but in a more generic way, not a specific way. These were specific way because this is integer, this was a float, and this is kind of hard coded. But here I'm telling this class we can pass a type, what kind of data we want to have this class deal with. So here I pass t, so the t is for type. So the only thing you have to do is, so because we're telling is a type t, so wherever you have type, here you have integer, so I'm just going to replace that with the t, and there's another integer, so I'm going to replace it with the t, and that's it. So what you're trying to do here is, if you notice, is we only created a class which is generic because it can take type t, which could be anything, and it will substitute. If you pass integer here, integer I mean this integer, uh, this integer, here instead of t, everything here t will be replaced by integer, and this will be replaced by integer. If you pass instead of t you pass float, float will be substituted everywhere. If you pass a string, string will be substituted instead of t everywhere. So that's the generic really mean. You are just creating class once, but you are reusing for different types of data actually. So here's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so let's get it off here. Okay, so we call it generic. So let's we go with the same example. I'm going to call it generic. But remember, we told it, first one we are dealing with the integer, so we have to say integer. Now I'm passing this integer, and after this generic you have to pass this integer as well. I think some of the versions of Java you don't really need to pass the second one because it knows the first one is integer. So remember, the syntax error is gone. So I want to take the same thing again here, and now I want to call it float. Is float, and I'm going to clean it, and I'm going to save this code. I'm going to run it. You see, 23.4. You see, we don't need these two classes here. And let's say I want to do another one, third one. Let's say I want to pass a string actually. Let's say, so instead of float I can say string, and this is hello Java generics, and we can't say pf now, it's just a sf, and I'm going to run it again. Yeah, hello Java generics. If you want to make it like double, same thing, so you can do. So the point is, once you create this class, you can do any kind of things with this one actually. So, and now in order to make double, let's say we put 40.5, and the okay, so hold on, so let's see, this has to be df for double, and I'm going to print df now here. It print 40.5. so you can see the value of using generics in Java here. And what we have done so far is we have make a class as a generic. That's the only thing we have done actually. So let me get rid of this one here. So we have done is just do make this class as a generic, but what we can do is we can also make methods as generic. So we can have generic methods, and in addition to that we can also have a lot of classes which can have, like, bounded uh, type of bounded types actually. What kind of, so in this case we know there's T, and it could be any class, but sometimes we can say, oh, this has to be the type can be anything which is a subclass of numbers, or say subclass of list or something. We can, those kind of stuff we can do. There's some more advanced stuff actually, but we are going to deal with them in the subsequent tutorial. So next one we can discuss with, like, say, generic methods. Then we can, as part of that, we might touch these bounded types, those kind of stuff actually. So we will see that in the future videos, but I hope you make some, you're going to make some, use of these generics in your code, whenever it needed. It saves you a lot of time and type safety. It keeps your code more robust actually. That's what it makes actually. So I hope you like this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.